Imagine if you could create a perfect musical representation of a poem, or a painting, or a book. A piece of music so descriptive that people would know, without being told, that it represented, say, the Raven, or the Mona Lisa, or the Secret History. This is, of course, pure fantasy. But nevertheless, I can't help but wonder how close it is possible to get. Can a poem transform Ovid-like into a piece of music and still retain something of the poem's essence? In this video, I'm going to share a very specific technique I've developed in order to transform a poem into a piano composition. At the end of the video, I'll share my piano composition in full. And if you're not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do click that subscribe button now. I've been interested in the relationship between various art forms for a while now, and back in 2017 I decided to try to create a set of rules in order to transform the poem She by Theodore Roethke into music. The rules were simple and they were strict. I can't remember why, but at the time I only got about halfway through creating my musical representation of the poem. And recently I rediscovered this work, and I thought, it's about time I finish this piece off. So, what were my 3 rules? Rule number 1. Each syllable shall be represented by one musical sound. For example, you can hear how each syllable has a single sonic equivalent. Perhaps just a single note, perhaps a chord. Rule number 2. The number of musical notes used to represent each word is directly proportional to the number of letters in each word. For example, if we take the start of the poem, I has 1 letter, so it is represented by a single note. Think has 5 letters, so it is represented by 5 notes. Look what happens when we get to the word tender. Because this word has 2 syllables, I play the 6-note chord twice. Here I granted myself a bit of leeway. With polysyllabic words, I could either repeat the same chord as many times as there are syllables, or alternatively, I could play smaller chords, each representing the individual syllables in the word. For example, with the word together, each syllable has a different chord, but the total number of notes used still adds up to the number of letters in the word together. Rule number 3. Once a certain word has been set, its harmony cannot be changed. If it recurs later in the poem, then the same notes or chords must be used again. For example, the word she is used 7 times in the poem, and each time I use the same 3-note chord, F, A and C. The word and is used 5 times, and each time I used this chord. So that's it, just 3 simple rules. You might be thinking, boy, way to suck the life out of creativity. This is more like mathematics or science than the unbridled artistic flow of music. And maybe you're right. This is, after all, an experiment. This is not how I generally compose. But my rules do still allow for some creativity on the part of the composer. The rhythm, for example, was totally up to me, and the individual choice of harmony for each word was also up to me. So there are definitely areas in which the imagination still gets free rein. Will I use this technique again? Probably not. It did, I have to admit, feel a bit too dry and scientific a way to compose for my liking. But nevertheless, it was certainly a valid and useful experiment. If someone who happened to know Roethke's poem She came across my piece, would they immediately think, this is a scintillating musical representation of Roethke's marvellous poem She? No, of course they wouldn't. The resulting composition is quite far from my usual style of writing, and sounds, perhaps unsurprisingly, quite disjointed to me. I don't dislike it, but equally I don't think it's one of my strongest compositions. See what you think. Perhaps you'll love it, let me know. Please remember to click that subscribe button and let me know what you think of my musically transformed version of Theodore Roethke's poem, She.